Entering the lottery should be very simple. Somebody enters the lottery by simply sending Ether using a wallet to the contract address. So for example, if I want to participate in this lottery using my Ether wallet or MetaMask or Mist or any kind of Ethereum wallet, I send an amount, my address will be added to the dynamic array state variable named players, and the amount I've sent will be added to the contract balance. When an account simply sends Ether to the contract address, a fallback payable function is automatically called. There can be only one fallback payable function. That function isn't allowed to have arguments or to return any value. So I define my fallback payable function, that is a function without a name. So function, payable, and public. This is how a fallback payable function is defined, and this function will be automatically called when somebody sends Ether to our contract. Now I'll add the address of the account that sends Ether to the dynamic array named players. Players push. Push is a method of a dynamic array that adds an element to the array. So players push, and now the address of the account that sends Ether. So msg.sender. That's all. I want to create another function that returns the contract balance. I want to see at any moment what is the contract balance. So function get balance, public, returns uint, the balance will be in way, and now return address this dot balance. This is how we return the contract balance. We can see we have an warning here. This warning is because we didn't specify here that this function is a view function. This function doesn't modify the blockchain. So we must specify view. Now we have no warning. Let's comment the code. So add the address of the account that sends Ether to players array. And here return contract balance. This fallback payable function will be automatically called when somebody sends Ether to our contract address. Okay, let's test this contract. So I want to deploy this contract using JavaScript virtual machine, and now I'll select the first account from here and I press on deploy. This is my contract. If I want to see who is the manager, I can see that the manager is the address that deployed the contract. That starts with CA3. Okay. There is no player, so if I want to see the first player from my dynamic array, I get an exception, I get an error, because I wanted an element that doesn't exist. Now I'll select another account from this drop-down list and I'll select the third account. This account will send some Ether, in this case some way, to my contract. Remix isn't a wallet, so I can't simply send Ether to a contract address or to any address. But if I would use MetaMask or my Ether wallet or Mist wallet, I could simply send Ether to the contract address. This is the contract address. This value from here that starts with 692 and so on. So if I want to use Remix and to test it using Remix, I simply write here the value of way I want to send to the contract, let's say 300, and I press on this button here, the fallback button. This automatically calls the fallback function. This function, I repeat one more time, is automatically called when somebody sends Ether to the contract address. Okay, the transaction has been executed. Now if I want to see the contract balance, I can see that the contract balance is 300 Wei. Let's send some Ether one more time. Let's say from the last account, from here. Let's say 100 Wei. Now the contract balance is 400 Wei. So the getBalance function works well. Let's see who is the first player. So from index 0. This is the first player, the address that starts with 4B. And the second player from index 1 is the address that starts with lowercase d and then an uppercase D. So this account and this account. Okay, Remix here displays all addresses written with lowercase. This is no problem. An Ethereum address can be written with lowercase letters or with mixed lowercase and uppercase letters. Until now, everything works as expected. See you in the next section.